Woo!
Whoa!
All right. Woo! Yeah. Here we go.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Welcome to the Glaziar Gambol podcast, and today we got a super fun one for you because Sony grew some balls. Sony has kind of fallen short with their Sony Universe of Marvel characters, especially when it comes to things like Madam Web and Morbius, and their
Morbius was fine.
but that's
It was fine.
based on the audience scores or whatever. They've
audience
not
score
done
was
well.
good for Morbius, but it was actually probably half full. So,
but the one that's done best for the series that has done best for them in terms of like scores and money making is Venom.
And
Venom 3 just released its final trailer.
Correct.
Which showed us something that you and I have begged for.
Yes, it was, and that's Martin Scorsese.
Yes,
in a Marvel movie.
Martin Scorsese directing a Marvel movie with Hans Zimmer doing the score.
Right.
And Johnny Depp is going to be playing a
pirate
based off of Michael Jackson.
Sure.
All right, there it is.
Listen, it was kind of a pleasant surprise. I didn't really know the trailer was coming, but for them to do the trailer, show a couple cool new action scenes, and then name drop the piece that could save their universe. It was cool. It was cool to see. Knowing Sony is very similar to me as in Warner Brothers, where more than likely they're gonna fumble the whole thing. Sure. At some point. But I did think it was sweet, and so far the imagery that they showed with Knull looked really cool. So
well, little background for people with Knull who aren't familiar. Maybe you've seen Venom, maybe you just like the movies, but you aren't familiar with the character. Knull is basically god of the symbiotes. He's the creator of the symbiotes. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of a difference from the comics because he created the symbiotes after being introduced with Gore the God Butcher, and he used the living abyss, which was like a source of pure darkness, which it looks like they might be using a variation of living abyss in this, but
yeah, that could also just be Klingen.
But he created the symbiotes, and then in the comics, I believe in his original comics, the first symbiotes he makes are all dragons. And he takes over creation. He's like everywhere he goes, he tries to take over as a ruler. And he uses his symbiote dragons to do so. But he is eventually defeated, but he's never been killed. Fun fact, he has never been killed in the comics.
Sure.
Because even when he is completely disintegrated, using the corpse of Eddie Brock and the God of Light entering the corpse of Eddie Brock and disintegrating Knull, he is still alive within the hive minds that all still exist.
Right.
So he still has never died. But
yeah, and the hive mind we know is all over. I mean, even though Venom, like the symbiotes just inherently have the hive mind, and so even though the Venom in Tobey Maguire's universe was defeated, you have to assume that there's other symbiotes in that world. There's obviously the symbiote in 616 or 19999.
Yep.
And then whatever world Eddie Brock is in, which maybe it's Andrew Garfield's. You still don't know.
Sure.
Because they haven't revealed the Spiderman for that. But yeah, and back to like the Gore and stuff, Gore the God Butcher. One of the first symbiotes he creates is all black, the Necro Sword, and that a variation of that is used in Thor: Love and Thunder. It's not called all black; it's just called the Necro Sword. So, but then again, symbiotes don't exist in our universe,
sure.
And so it doesn't make sense that it would be all black, the Necro Sword. So. Yeah, I don't know. I think I think Knull is badass, and when you started off with Sony grew some balls, this is a big balls play
Right. He's
here.
the one of the most strong, or like we said, he's never been killed because he is godlike.
Right,
The only things that killed the dragons in the original comics was Thor killed
right.
multiple
Thor
symbiote
is
dragons and
crazy,
Sentry,
which is also
which
crazy. Yeah.
Sentry is, potentially coming up. I don't think we're going to see a crossover with that. And with, like we said, with Gore, we're not going to see a crossover with that because of where we saw Gore went. And I think the overall, like, how they're going to change it from the comics of what it looks like would be, so Eddie and Venom, this is supposed to be, their last dance, last time they see each
Right.
other.
Sure.
Like we just mentioned, Eddie's corpse was used to defeat Knull in the original comics, and the
In the
Venom
original
was
comics,
transferred to his son Dylan Brock.
sure.
I don't, obviously he doesn't have a kid, so that's
Right.
not happening, and I don't
Right.
think
He
Eddie's
also he
dying.
also has like cancer, right? Like in the comics, Eddie has like cancer, and Venom's the only thing that can like keep him alive
Right, which
too.
Eddie
And
says in the
so
trailer, I
yeah,
need him.
and he's in like a hospital bed.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the case. You also see Venom interact with like Scorpion, Mac Gargan, Flash Thompson. Like there's other things Venom can like other hosts that Venom can go through, but this isn't about those characters at all.
No.
So um
Is it
yeah, there's
possible, little on-air
a lot
production
of
meeting, Joe?
rumors.
Is it possible for you to pull your mic closer,
Yeah, I
or
can turn it up a little, or yeah, I can move it closer.
yeah, it just sounds. I hear a lot of. Sounds like you're talking very far away from it.
Oh, how is that? Is it better?
Yeah, it is better,
I'm
but if
closer.
you can even get even closer.
Well, I'm pretty damn close to
There we
this
go.
thing.
Yeah,
I'm
that sounds good. Right
basically
there.
deep
Yeah,
throating it at this point.
yeah. I mean, mine kind of covers my face a little bit because of
Sure,
that, but it just sounds so much better when it's that close.
sure.
All right, sorry. Continue.
Um, yeah. No, I think there's a lot of rumors about just everything that's going on. Now there's Spider-Man 4 rumors, and much like we talked about back in the Spider-Man multiversal thing, we think it's going to be street level with some multiverse components, and a lot of this Knull talk today is that this could be the multiversal component of it. Whereas like you can have this grounded street level fight, and then eventually once say Venom, say Venom dies, right? Like the Venom from this Sony universe of Marvel characters dies, and say Knull is trying to hunt all these Venom. I'm just coming up with this off the top of my head. And so there's only one Venom left, and that's the one that's in our world. And so that could interact like that could be how Knull gets involved. I guess a lot of people saying like Knull could be the introduction to Battle World too. I don't know. There's so many like theories now that Knull is in the picture. So
Yeah, I mean, it obviously, yeah, there are multiple things, multiple directions it could go. I mean, it could be Battle World. It could be that. So they've mentioned the hive mind multiple times
right, and
throughout.
that's what I'm thinking is that like if there's only one Venom left, and Venom in this trailer says that he if as long as or Toxin says as long as Venom's alive, the world's in danger or
Right.
something like that,
Yep.
and so Venom might be the whole key to the Sony universe, which makes sense because he's their most popular thing. So
Right. And like we've talked about with the comics, um, the hive mind is what overthrows Null and imprisons him.
sure.
So
Yeah, it's a multiversal thing. Like the knowledge of the hive mind stretches out through all the symbiotes across all the universes.
right,
It's
and he
all
eventually takes
connected.
control back over with a new army of dragons, but I think that second time is when Sentry beats him.
Sure. Like Void Sentry.
So it's
Yeah.
it's could be a variety of things. I think you can kind of throw out any of the like Sentry, or you can throw out
Yeah, I don't
kind of
think
gore.
Sentries.
You're not
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
see any big crossovers when it comes to Sony, but I do still think that like you said, it kind of unlocks the Sony universe, or the key to the Sony universe would be Venom. Um, I even with Knull, which is one of the big asks that we've mentioned in previous episodes. If you haven't heard them, go ahead and check them out. Um, Even with bringing in Knull, which is huge, which is kind of the big, huge, important thing.
It's the big thing
Um,
today for sure. Yeah.
like Venom's clash with Carnage in the comics is what creates Knull's desire to come to Earth.
Sure. Like the Maximum Carnage storyline,
And
like where he needs
so
like Spider-Man's help to be
he in the
Carnage.
comics he only ever cared about genocide, world domination, but they said that
All the
Venom
good things.
they they said that Venom has something Knull needs.
Right.
So they are clearly coming up with their own original non-comic based idea, because it's not like Venom
Sure.
has the key to genocide or
Right.
Venom has the key
Right.
to domination.
Right.
But the only other big ask, because Venom, we said this with Carnage, Venom should not beat Knull.
Right.
Venom should, if they do a one-on-one fight and Venom wins,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Null shouldn't
shouldn't
be
happen.
a one-off, right? Like this is a bigger villain. This is like I've saw a couple tweets of this. Null is like the Thanos of the Sony universe of Marvel characters.
Yeah. Yep.
And so you don't just have a one-off of Thanos.
This is the
So
Doom. This is the Thanos. He's
yeah,
so far. He's so high up there. I mean, he could be a crossover with so many different things if they did it right. If Sony and Marvel work together, I mean, he could, the crossover with Planet Hulk and Symbiote Planet is
right,
could be like incredible, because the comics were incredible of that.
right,
And I mean, Knull is so strong. He has godlike regeneration, durability. He can fly because he has
right,
dragon-like wings,
right,
and he has the ability to have magic because he can manipulate darkness, which in the comics they say is the living abyss.
right.
Which then you could cross him over with really anything to do with Doctor Strange, especially
Sure.
where he is currently. So you have a lot of
With the dark
opportunities
dimension and
that,
stuff, yeah.
right, which probably won't happen, but could.
Yeah.
The one big thing that you can do is decide your Spider-Man.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think,
Because I mean, if you work with Marvel and you say, hey, like we're gonna introduce Null, and we want to get him kind of into the bigger picture, barring your like you can create your creative, right? Because like you're not just gonna be like we're gonna put him in the MCU, and
right,
Feige's like okay, right? So barring that, Feige's creative juices, if he can get Null to work there. If not, and it's like, all right, we got to kind of keep it to our own thing. Maybe this is the time where, like you said, they introduce their Spider-Man finally, which just makes, I mean, it makes sense that it's Andrew Garfield, but maybe it's a Miles Morales or something. But
right, yep.
this could be another like theories that have been popping up is this could be their Sinister Six movie too.
Oh, I don't see how they would do that.
It'd be like the Sinister Six versus Knull or something, which would be stupid. But I mean, if you introduce Spider-Man and then Andrew Garfield gets like I don't know, Amazing Spider-Man 3, and I don't know. It's a direction, but
I
I
just
still
don't see
think you
that.
just do. I think yeah, right, and I think the smarter approach would be to introduce or try to go to Marvel again and try to not necessarily mend your relationship, but like give them more control over your characters. And now that you have this popular character, much like Spider-Man, how do you keep that character popular and kind of hit the jackpot on that as well? So, Yeah, we'll see what Sony does. I think it's very it scares me a little bit, obviously, because it's Sony. But I mean, if you get something in Marvel's control, it's more than likely going to turn out good. So
Yeah, I think there's a lot of wishful thinking when it comes to Sony, and I don't know if they've ever given us what we wanted.
right,
So I don't. I mean, Rhino isn't even showing up till Craven.
right.
I don't think, and they killed Mysterio. So
Supposedly,
but
there's
I don't
there's
think
some
that they would do. I don't think they'll give Sinister Six. I think that is honestly like a dream fans need to give up on.
yeah,
It's
oh
like
yeah.
it's like Mephisto. Like fans have taken it and run with it because they've heard one or two
Yeah,
things
but
on it.
Mephisto's coming, so
Right. I just
but
don't
it's
think
still.
it's. But it's
I think it's I think if you do decide to make Knull, I think you almost have to like give Knull away. Like you almost have to give Knull to Marvel so that Venom story can continue.
well,
But at the
yeah. They
same
have to
time,
give up to
like
Marvel at some. They have to if they want to keep it successful. I
right,
just they're not going to
and
do
at
that.
some point, like now that Venom is over, it's like now you're hoping Craven hits. But if Craven doesn't hit, then how do you keep going? And you keep going by introducing a Spider-Man, and so that Spider-Man is your continuation if
Well, I
Venom
mean,
is over.
Spider-Man 4, right? Is that's why they're
Right.
talking
I
about
mean,
that.
yeah. Right. But I mean, like Spider-Man 4, you can get Venom. Like you can get Venom back. I don't know
Right,
if you
which is why I
necessarily
think they're
can get
talking
Eddie
about it
Brock,
now
but
because
like,
marketing. That's just kind of what they do. They're talking about who's directing Spider-Man 4 as they're releasing the trailer for Venom 3
right,
because this builds hype with Craven coming out. Like they're
right,
just cross
and
marketing.
Daniel Destin Daniel Cretin, or the
Yep,
guy who did
Justin
Shang
Daniel
Chi.
Cretton.
Um, his when they broke open that like portal to hell, or that entrance to hell in Shang-Chi, like that shit was creepy. So like he could do like black suit Spider-Man with Venom. Like he could do that. And his action scenes are sweet too.
Right.
But how I don't know. I don't think you can I don't trust in Sony making a Thanos level Null right
Nope.
with the pieces they have.
Right.
And I don't think that's possible unless you give us because you can't give us Miles Morales. Miles Morales isn't gonna be able to beat Null. So and like Spider-Man, like say Andrew Garfield's, which we theorized forever, but he can't do it himself, and you
Even two
can't do
versus
it
one, Venom's plus Spider-Man shouldn't beat
right,
Null.
right. And I mean, yeah, you can't tell me that. And then if you get, oh, we want to get our villains involved, they're not going to help. They don't care about that. Like it doesn't make sense. So and does Sony trust in their plan post Venom to build a world where Null's the villain? Like they probably are like, yeah, we can do it, but no, they probably can't. I mean, so yeah, I don't know. I feel like they need to give it up, and it needs to be a plot point in the MCU somehow, so that Marvel can take care of it. That's how I see it. But well, Doom coming, and where are you gonna fit that in? It could be like Midnight Suns or something, but then how do you? I saw another going on from that. People were talking about, instead of using the Necro Sword, that the MCU might use the Ebony Blade, because that kind of looked weird in at the end of Eternals. At the end of Eternals, when Dade Whitman is like looking over his sword, it's like moving and it looked symbiotic. So people are like, "What if that's the thing?" I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, and that's Null's home planet is destroyed when it's originally the living darkness is destroyed by the Celestials. So his
So
number one
maybe
enemy is the Celestials in the
So
comics.
maybe, and the ebony blade, like if you were to watch that scene again, it's moving like it's a like a symbiote blade.
Right.
Like
Yep.
it looks like that. So they could use that, and you could bring Knull into the Midnight Suns, and that would work. But Sony can't do that. Like
Right.
Sony can't. That doesn't make no
A
sense.
lot of what you
So
want with Null can't be done without Marvel, and a lot of what you want from this story can't be done without a crossover. So, like we've talked about it before, Sony and Marvel either have to work together, basically a full on agreement where it's like, all right, we're splitting the cash, we're splitting the work, we're like, you can't have it be overly Sony. You have to get some sort of rights to give it to Marvel. Otherwise,
yeah, because I think
Null
their
can't be a
agreement
one
is
off. This can't be. You can't just like end it here because there's too much to go forward with, and it's
right,
your one thing that's being successful outside of Spider-Man himself.
right, which is taken over by Marvel. So it's like,
Right, which you've already given a bunch of control to Marvel,
r-
which has given it more
which
success.
yeah, I mean every Spider-Man movie that comes out is a $1 billion movie. Like Far From Home made like 900 million. That's basically a billion, right? And No Way Home made more than enough for two movies. So I don't know. I don't know. I agree that they need to give Null up, um, or at least be like, hey, we're introducing this character. Can you continue his story while also, like, say, include Venom,
Well, we
like
know
something like that?
that
So
fans don't like when you severely buff a character. But one thing they hate more than that is when you overly nerf someone.
sure,
When you make somebody way weaker than they should be. I mean, that was the issue. DC has done that way too many times.
right,
That's a huge part of their lack of success. Fox did that constantly with their Marvel
sure,
characters.
right,
If you do that with Null, if you make him a one off or he's defeated in a 1v2, in a 1v3, if he's defeated in that level, it's kind of going. I don't see it being received very well. It might make money, but a lot of Sony's movies have at least made their money back or way better. So
right.
they can either continue just trying to make money or they can do it right and invest in the future.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, you look at the DCEU, they rushed everything. They tried to compete with Marvel and they rushed everything and it died. And so now James Gunn's coming in and he's doing a very methodical, a very methodical, slow, nailing his castings, nailing his story. He's only got two projects, two projects coming out. One is going
And
to be
saying
Creature
he's willing to work a
Commandos.
crossover with Marvel.
Right. Yeah. Right. And he's doing the Creature Commandos, which is animated, but you still gotta it's still canon. And then you have Superman coming out, right? So like he's got those two things that he did very slow approach, made sure he did it right. Sony kind of rushed into it too. I mean, they got Venom, and then after they hit on Venom, they're like, oh, what else can we do? And
Right.
that's where they kind of pushed
Which,
pushed
if they
them.
just paid attention, they should have realized Venom was a large product before the movie. So a lot of its success was the fact that it was already popular.
Right,
Like, it
right.
wasn't one of
And they
those things
should
like, oh,
have.
Venom did well and we have to move forward with other characters, which is what they
Yeah,
did.
yeah. I
It
mean,
was,
at
how do
that
you move
point, they
forward with
should
that
imagine the
character?
track instead of it being Venom 2, Morbius, Madam Web, Craven the Hunter, Venom 3, or Venom 3. Instead of that, it's like Venom 2, Amazing Spider-Man 3, Venom 3. Like what if it was that, or what if it was like Venom, Amazing Spider-Man 3, Venom 2, Venom 3? Like that'd be golden. That's what fans wanted. That's what the fans wanted,
Right.
because then you could do the Maximum Carnage storyline and not have a one-off Carnage. But here we are.
Well, and
So
again, that's because it's more like the comics, similar to people have really positive responses to a lot of the brighter colored costumes that are in more recent projects, and that's also more like the comics. Being more, you get Deadpool, where he's extremely comic accurate, doing fourth wall breaks and very violent. People love it. I mean, if you stick more with the comics, where you allow
Uh,
crossover storylines meshing together, where it's this one big comic universe, but they don't always have to be connected. It's what fans are asking for. At least the majority of who your dedicated fans are. I know they have to kind of balance that line of the general
family
fan versus the
friendly. Yeah.
dedicated fans, the hardcore
Right.
fans.
Right.
But even with the general fans, you have people that, if they want to learn more, there's plenty of stuff out there for them to watch. There's plenty of information they can look up. But the general
Sure.
fans, even the ones that aren't doing that, they love the crossovers give them the stars they want to see. They get to
Right.
have the Chris Evans and Tom Holland in the same movie. They get to
Right.
have, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman. And if you
Chris
get
Evans.
Chris Evans, if you get Knull over to Marvel work together, it's a big risk move to bring in Knull, but if they do it right, it's another one of those, this is going to pay off and lead to 10 more years of Sony success, as opposed to if Craven bombs, Madam Web obviously bombed, if they continue on that trajectory, eventually without Spider-Man, Marvel could probably buy them out.
Right. Right. Especially with their success. I mean, Marvel drops a movie, and even a poorly performing movie still makes like 400, 500 million
right
for them. And granted, that's probably what everything they put into it, but like hitting even on something is a win for them still, because like it leads to so much more. I don't know. I think Sony missed their. Well, here's another thing that I want to bring up is that they decided to do something right with Craven, and that was make it rated R. But
my son
they dropped the ball. My son, you're a hunter.
You're a hunter,
my son.
my son.
But I think they also missed the opportunity to do that earlier in Venom 2.
Yeah,
And
Carnage should have been R.
Right. And they missed that opportunity to do that. And then Marvel went ahead and made Deadpool rated R and beat them to that rated R comic book movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's not, they're going to compare it to Deadpool. Now you're going to compare the violence and the action to Deadpool, which you're not going to do that because
my son,
you were too slow, my son.
You're a hunter.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Craven has the potential to be their second best project, in front of Morbius and Madam Web. Because they also Craven was also an opportunity for them to grow a sack, and they did.
Yep.
Because they made it rated R, and they made it violent, and they made it my son. So
well, if they even do Craven right, it could be better than one or two of the Venom movies. I think Venom 3, if done right, is going to blow them all out of the water. But
right.
If they do Craven right, it's like Spider-Man, Venom 3, and Craven. You could definitely see that happening, especially with Venom 1 and 2 being well liked but not loved.
Yeah, right. I think
Son.
yeah, I just think it's Sony has the pieces on their board, but it's like 4 pawns. And like they can still win. But like it's not looking good, I guess. Like it's going to be tough for them to win with the pieces they have.
If they work with Marvel, let one of those pawns get to the other side where they can replace it with a bigger piece.
Right, which they have. I mean, Venom is now in our world, and so like if you do get Venom in the MCU, which he can live there and not be like warped out, because of the hive mind which exists, which probably will be more so explained in this Venom 3, and you're gonna get black suit Spidey. Like you get black suit Spidey finally,
which
and
Tom Holland needs one.
Right.
And now's the perfect time for Tom Holland, since he doesn't have MJ anymore, right? At least
right. Yeah. Right. And he embraces like darker side or get too engulfed in trying to do everything right that he's going to kind of be a little unhinged and unstable, much like how Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man said he got unhinged in his world after he lost Gwen. So
Well, and I'm
um
glad you mentioned Venom moving over to potentially another world, because obviously the way they word things in trailers, they don't even have to happen. But they mentioned that Venom can't exist in this world, which I think you could easily take as that means they're gonna try taking him to another world.
sure.
So
Well, and like that Venom, like not that Eddie Brock, but that Venom is now in our world.
yeah,
So Venom can coexist in different worlds, and the whole plot.
it's
If
just a little
Venom,
jizz droplet, right?
right? It's just a little jizz droplet, yeah. Um, just the fact that Knull needs Venom for something. Venom has the thing Knull needs to do whatever he needs to do, and so if they end up beating this Venom and this Venom perishes, then there's still a Venom out there that Knull could get what he needs from. And that's kind of, I think, how you can rope that in.
It just might
Rope.
not be Eddie.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it could be. I mean, Tom Hardy wants to come back to
Topher
voice it.
Grace.
Yeah. No. No. It could be
What?
Flash Thompson. I mean, but that's Agent Venom, and he's like, I don't know. There's a lot of things they
It
can
would
do, but
probably
it
still be
also
Tom
needs to be
Hardy.
in Marvel. It also needs to be in Marvel's control, and
Yeah.
Spider-Man is Marvel's control. So if they want to do Venom, then it's going to be like, all right, Venom is in Marvel's control for Spider-Man 4, whatever you're going to get from him.
So, in other words, what we're saying is Venom 3 needs to be a multiverse movie.
Which, yeah, exactly. A street level multiverse movie is what it needs to be.
Because, people are all for multiverse content right now. So we think the story should be based around street level multiverse. Venom 3 for Knull should be about multiverse. Knull on a street
Everything
level.
should be multiverse. Knull on a street level. He's just driving through the city, stopping anyone he can.
You got to get the
Disobeying
sponsorships in.
traffic
So
laws.
Knull
Exactly.
driving his Toyota Camry through the city as he passes by a
A
McDonald's.
giant Sony billboard.
And a Sony billboard with the Pepsi logo falling into the water.
Yeah.
And maybe he crashed his Toyota Camry into the Pepsi sign.
Oh yeah, and then it falls into the fireworks.
Maybe
fall
blinds
into
Dakota Johnson. I don't know. I think when I saw Knull, I was extremely happy.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
that's the thing that you want when it comes to symbiotes. This is the penultimate of the symbiote storyline outside of going to the planet. Would be
Right.
just bringing in Knull. The other thing would be having gone to the planet. So this is option 1A of what you want from a Venom story.
And they
So
could
I
be
was
on the
extremely
planet.
happy.
Like they could be on. I think it's Klingon. I think that's what the planet's called. So it could be on there. Like you could get those flashes of Knull. Like that's on the planet. So you're gonna get both. Like
Yeah, I mean he'll be able to communicate from the planet with Venom.
right. Yeah. And then Venom knows he's like.
I just
shit
need the
bricks,
Knull
you know what I mean?
wings. I need the Knull blast. And I need them to show Knull take a massive hit as if he was getting as if it was a small breeze.
Right.
Like shoot him with a nuke and have him just go, huh. Like obviously not that, but like hit him with something super hard and Knull acting as if nothing happened.
Right.
Just to show off.
And it would be okay for Venom to lose.
Just like we said with Carnage.
Right.
It is okay if Venom loses. We don't need our heroes to win in a one-off movie every time.
Right.
That doesn't have to happen.
And you also have to like there was obviously Toxin is going to be in this movie. There was a green symbiote, which a lot of people think is going to be Lasher. There's more. There's the one they think the one female scientist is going to get turned symbiotic. So there's going to be more symbiotes, but if they do a cop out and all these like bad symbiotes are all of a sudden good trying to stop Null, that makes no sense. They need to all those bad symbiotes like Toxin and Lasher and whoever else decides to join the party, they all need to go against Venom, and it's going to be Venom against the world. You know what I mean? And if he loses, he loses.
Or do
but
they all work together against Null like the comics?
see that yeah, but that doesn't make sense for
It
like
doesn't.
Tox. Like
Not
it
with
makes
how
no
they've gone
sense.
with Venom. Not with Venom's storyline. They've kind of
Like there's two symbiotes that I could see ask for help, and that is Carnage and Venom. Because Carnage needed Venom's help to stop Toxin, and Venom needed Peter Parker's help to stop Carnage. So those are the only two. Everyone else is bad. Everyone else is bad. They should be bad.
bad.
So yeah.
Yep. Well, that's the thing is we have ideas of what we could see or what we would want to see, but due to the direction Sony or Marvel have gone or the reason they can't work together, mixes it up. So it's like it creates genuine what could it be, which is fun, but it also makes it go you're something that you want might not be able to happen.
Did you see the initial possible who is cast as Null?
I did not.
What people think, or what I've seen a couple avenues think? It's the only casting that I've heard, and I don't know how true it is.
Wasn't his face shown in them?
It wasn't. It was like the hair covering his face, and then he's off like blurry in the distance.
Okay.
Type thing. But a lot of people are saying that it is Norman Reedus.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
there's multiple people that are cast that they don't have the title of their character. They don't have the character listed.
Right. Yeah, there's only like 13 people cast or something on like IMDb. I looked it up today. It's like 13 people cast, and I was like, there's going to be more cast in this movie. So
this guy looks really familiar. Well, I mean, Mordo's in it.
Yeah, Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah. I just this guy looks really familiar. Why is it? Oh, it's the guy who plays the lizard.
Yeah, Rhys Ifans.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the trailer. He's like riding in a like a car with him at some point. More speculation, because where was Rhys Ifans? Where was Rhys Ifans? They cured him and sent him back. So just saying, it could more fuel to the Andrew Garfield fire,
absolutely.
because so I don't know. That's just a thing.
And there is a young boy that's been cast, so that could be Dylan.
Maybe.
That'd be fine. If they went with the Dylan route and you killed Eddie Brock, I know Tom Hardy likes to challenge himself, so maybe playing the same character this long might get old for him.
Sure.
So I could see him wanting to pass the torch on, but I don't think they would pass it on to such a young kid.
Yeah, I don't think they would do that.
Yeah.
I think the one thing you could do is like you could, I don't know how you could combine it, but you could have Eddie Brock reach out to like a Peter Parker or something. I don't know, something like that. And then Peter Parker's like at his deathbed, or I don't know how you would do it, but I mean, it's so perfect, and Sony just hasn't done it.
Yep. That's the overarching issue. It's what we had. There was the problem with Fox for 20 years that we had was it could be perfect, and you keep messing it up.
Right.
Sony, it could be perfect. I mean, that's the whole point of Deadpool 3. Is Fox messed it up so bad? Look what we have to do.
Marvel had to save it.
Yeah. I mean,
Marvel had to buy it back and save it.
And Sony's getting to the point where it's the same thing is happening.
Right.
So do it right. Work with Marvel, and then you won't have a crash where Marvel just takes you over. Or like, honestly, Apple might buy you over Marvel, and then you have a whole nother issue. So just work with Marvel so that you don't have to worry about that for the fans, because the fans are the reason you're going to stay successful.
Right.
Yeah. Who knows? Do you have anything else? I've covered what I wanted to say.
No, I think we got a good thing right at the end here. We're probably, I think, a week from today is when Agatha comes out. So maybe we'll delay next week's just a little bit so that we can watch that opening episode and
Sure.
and do that. 'Cause I think it's the 19th, and then I also think HBO Max's The Penguin series comes out the 19th too. So yeah, I'm excited for Agatha. I think I'm excited to see Colin Farrell Penguin. Yeah,
Okay.
the series attached to the Batman world. Yeah,
Got it.
so yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for Agatha. I think we'll see what the MCU thinks of it because it is women led. So
Sure. So all fans are gonna hate it.
Great. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I've already seen so much hate towards it. It's not even out yet. Very.
I
excited.
know. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
You know,
I mean, I'm
wonderful.
more than
There's
excited for
multiple
Joe
people.
Locke. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
there's so many people in that series that are awesome. Like, yeah, that's whose name I couldn't think of. Patti LuPone. But then also you have Catherine Hahn and Aubrey Plaza. Like, you
Right.
have multiple people that are awesome that are going to be in that series, and it's a spin-off of a show fans loved.
right.
You have great people in a great show with fun characters. Who cares if they're milking it a little bit? It's still gonna be awesome. Like, come on.
It's still gonna be. It still could have ties to Wanda coming back. It could have ties to Mephisto. What already does have ties to Mephisto because Joe Locke is probably playing Billy Kaplan. So I don't know. There's people aren't gonna watch it, much like they didn't watch the Marvels, and then 3 months down the line they're gonna be like, wow, this is actually pretty good.
Right, they're initially going to take snippets out of context and show why they don't like
This
it,
is
even though they
seriously
haven't
the
watched it.
MCU. Exactly.
It'll be a 3-second clip taken out of context that actually fits the scene, but taken out of context it doesn't. And then they use that. This is so stupid.
Right, exactly.
And it's around the spoopy season is starting.
Right, spoopy season.
Like, come on, people.
Right.
It's going to be so good. You have to watch
Yeah,
it.
I'm excited for it.
Normally I fire off multiple questions, but my one question to those, especially those still listening, thank you. My one question is, do you think Knull would be okay as a one-off or no? So answer that. That's our question of the day. Put that in the comments, or, tweet at us, whatever you want. But other than that, we'll see you next week with some Agatha All Along review, discussion, all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching the Venom 3 final trailer breakdown, Knull discussion. You all look great today.
GG.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. Have no regrets, yeah, I'm tired of my chest.